Some of you have asked for an update on this LG washer combo unit that I've had for about 2.5 years now, and you wanted to know how I still feel about it. Overall, I just love the machine. It's been the best investment in an appliance in a long time. It makes my laundry so much more efficient and so much more controllable. I don't let the laundry build up. I do small loads and I do them more frequently. The nice thing about a front loader like this with the wash cycle is you can do smaller loads and it will use less water if you choose the right settings. It'll continue to be more efficient than a top loader, and especially the older top loaders. I only use a handful of cycles regularly. It's got a lot more potential that I don't use. I use the normal cycle a lot. I use the bedding cycle, and I use delicates and a couple of downloaded cycles and the tub clean. It's probably the bulk of what I do. I very rarely have the need for the heavy duty cycle, and occasionally I'll use the allergens or bright whites if I'm washing some cat bedding or something that's been used as a cat bed, just to help give it an extra boost on the sterilization and the cleaning of all of the cat dander and whatever other little things that might come along with cats. I don't use the speed wash very often. I've heard recently that people misuse the speed wash. They think, oh, I'll just use speed wash all the time because it's faster. Apparently, the speed wash also tells your machine to use less water. And then if you use speed wash for a full-size load and use your full amount of soap, you end up not getting all of that soap and residue out of your clothes and out of your machine. The speed wash is intended to be a small load that you need to wash as quickly as possible. It's not intended to be a wash your regular size loads faster. If I was experiencing some irregularity with this machine when I first got it, some unpredictability, that the machine would sometimes take longer to do some cycles or wouldn't dry cycles completely, sometime in the last 6, 8 months or 10 months, it has now become a little bit more reliable on that. And I don't know exactly what has changed. It's just, again, an anecdotal experience. I think I do the tub clean cycles regularly, every 20 to 25 wash cycles usually. The machine recommends every 30 cycles. I think by keeping it clean with the tub clean, it's also keeping the sensors clean, which helps it become more efficient. And I also help keep the drain filter cleaned regularly. And I don't think people clean the pump drain filter often enough. The general users of it, many people don't even know they have a pump drain filter that they should be emptying. Sometimes I don't go a week, 10 days, sometimes without doing a load of laundry. It's very rare, but sometimes there's a long stretch and I just don't build up the amount of laundry that needs to be done. And when it sits there, that's just 3 cups of water with fibers and some dirt residue in it, just sitting in there, fermenting, coagulating, what's the word you want to use? And when you go to drain it, it gets kind of stinky. So if you are going to leave the machine alone for a stretch of time, a week or more, you really should drain the pump drain filter before you leave it alone, so you're not just leaving that stagnant water with fibers and other dirt and residue in there just percolating, growing bacteria, becoming a petri dish, whatever it is. I don't know what would grow in that water culture environment. It always comes out stinky when you've left it for a while, so I wouldn't leave it in there. One of the other things people complain about this is the daily maintenance you have to do, and all of the lint builds up around the rim of the inside tub seal. You have to wipe that down between every load. If you don't wipe that down, it's going to build up. That can be kind of annoying if you've not had a front load washer, but you have to keep that moisture off. And with this one, since the machine also does it dry, you've got to wipe up all that lint. There is no integrated lint filter. Now there is a GE model that's come out in the 2 years since I bought this that does have an integrated lint filter. And this process is not really a big deal. It's exactly the same process you'd be doing with your conventional dryer. You have to pull that lint trap out and clean it every load, between every load. A lot of people don't do that and it builds up, but you've got to clean it every load to prevent fire hazard. And I don't know what other people have for lint buildup, but I get a lot of lint buildup because I have cats in the house. And a lot of it is cat fur that gets pulled off of the clothing and the fabrics, and it gets attached to that seal. So I think some people who don't have pets might have a little bit less of a buildup of the fibers. So back there is the white vent that a lot of people say their machine puts out moisture. It's the tub vent. And what that is intended to do is to have a place for the machine to expel excess moisture if the machine is overloaded or if there's too much laundry detergent in the machine. Usually, if you are getting a significant amount of moisture out of there, you are most likely using too much detergent and or overloading the machine. And more than likely, you're using too much detergent. So I think those two things are the issues that people experience the most with this machine. I've said in the comment sections that I don't have any issues with it. I don't have any condensation or calcification. But as you can see, there is some bit of calcification going on in the back, but it's just a real minor amount and dripping down. It's not splattering and splashing all over the walls like some people are experiencing. There's some people say there's just tons and tons of moisture being expelled and put in the back on the walls. And I'm just not experiencing that at all. But I'm also not overloading my machine, and I'm also not using too much detergent. There is a max fill line, which has a line of about here. And I think if you fill to that max line, that's actually about a quarter of a cup of detergent. And that's too much. 2 tablespoons is the recommended for most normal loads. And if you're doing small loads and lightly soiled loads, you probably should be using less than 2 tablespoons. It's not the soap that gets your laundry clean, it's the agitation. The soap is an aid to getting that. Putting more soap in isn't going to get your clothes cleaner. It's going to more than likely leave a lot more residue on your machine and a lot more residue on your clothes as your machine doesn't know that there's more soap and that it has to do extra rinse cycles to get that to wash away. Even though it says a max line here, I am nowhere putting anything near that. I usually put something about 2 tablespoons in there, and for me, 2 tablespoons is really 1, 2. That's it. That's 2 tablespoons. I'm not even halfway up to my max fill line. And that is all you need for a normal sized load. A more heavily soiled load, like if you use the heavy duty wash cycle, you might use that, but that's all we need. If you put much more soap than that in there, you're definitely putting too much soap in and your machine doesn't know what to do with that. And that could cause expulsion of moisture and condensation out of that tub vent. You don't need to hook that white vent up to a hose that vents to the outside. If you're using the machine properly, it should not be putting out significant amounts of moisture and condensation. And you could see what little condensation I had. That's 2.5 years of usage. That's a very little amount. The most significant issue I've had with this machine is a couple of times I've got a pump drain filter clog. And that's because I didn't check the pump drain filter before I did loads that I knew were going to be excessively shedding of fibers from the fabrics themselves. And what does that? Area rugs and bath mats, depending on the manufacturer and the style. It's my bath mats that seem to shed the most. Some of these area rugs don't shed so much, but I'm going to be doing 3 or 4 of these. And every time before I do a load of this now, I check and I drain that tub filter because I don't want to be in the middle of a wash and have it not be able to drain because I didn't clean the tub drain filter. These area rugs also don't have as much fiber release, but they do release some. And I'm going to be doing this on a steam cycle. And I'm going to choose the bedding cycle. Bedding is for bulky or large. This isn't technically under the definition of the word bedding, but the bedding name is a misnomer. It means bulky/large. And if you have the app on your phone or your other portable device, you'll notice that when you choose the bedding cycle on the app, it calls it bulky large. Bedding is for pillows, comforters, things that could cause the machine to go off balance. Would I buy this again? Probably. Absolutely. Probably, absolutely. One or the other, both. Yes, I would buy it again. I like it a lot. I would like to try out the GE model. That's a little bit, I think it's a little bit bigger and it has that integrated lint filter. This one does not. I'm not sure what the difference that makes. Some people say that if without the lint filter, this thing has some buildup of lint in some of these top components. I haven't opened the machine. I haven't had any need to do that. I haven't had any issues at this point. That lint filter might actually help prevent that. But I think there are 2 different types of dryer systems. I think this is a condenser dryer, and I think the GE dryer is a heat pump dryer. Unfortunately, I'm not going to go out and buy another one just to test it. Unless GE, you want to sponsor me and send me a washer to try and do a side-by-side test with this LG, I'm happy to do that. I would buy it again. And if I had a more traditional house setup or laundry room setup with 2 slots for a traditional conventional washer and dryer, I would buy 2 of these. And then I'd have 2 machines that both wash and dry. Energy efficiency. This machine is just hugely more energy efficient than a conventional gas or electric dryer. I'm really happy with that. I don't think this machine is all that significantly less fast than a conventional dryer. By all of the literature and all of the tests on these types of condenser dryers and heat pump dryers, they are more gentle for your clothes than the conventional gas and electric dryers. So that's a bonus, and I'm happy with that, and I can attest after 2.5 years that I feel like it's been more gentle with my clothes than when they go through a conventional dryer.